Hi, everyone. It's Rebecca Imholz of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to Mondays with the Mayor. Glad to have this back again. I know, Shane, glad to see you moderating once again Mondays with the Mayor. I know you had a little time off. I hope that you enjoyed it.
It was very nice. Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you for everything you're doing to help facilitate Mondays with the Mayor. But yeah, we took some time off for the holiday and all that good stuff. But we are back with a vengeance today with Mondays with the Mayor. Before I bring on the Honorable Will Haynie and Lauren Sims from the town, I wanted to remind folks about the Mount Pleasant Business and Community Expo presented by Cruise Subaru. It is starting next Monday. So next Monday, it's 10 days of expo to celebrate our 10th year, and you want to check it out. So just visit mountpleasantexpo.com. It is free to attend. All you got to do is visit mountpleasantexpo.com and you'll find all the information there. There's an app to download and you'll be able to enjoy the expo for 10 days. So 10 days of expo to celebrate 10 years, and it all kicks off next Monday. You know, I've been saying in this environment of canceled events, let's roll the dice and see what happens. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback. We've got a number of sponsors and a number of vendors, and we are very excited to see what Michael Cochran and his committee have up their sleeve for this. And this is kind of a practice run for us. We've talked about in the past possibly doing some sort of a virtual portion of the expo in the future, and COVID presented that opportunity to us, and we're going to see how it goes, and we're very excited about what we have going on, and we can't wait to kick it off next Monday. So that's for folks that are watching now that may have a question about when we start. But a week from today will be 10 days of expo. So Rebecca, again, thanks for everything you're doing for us. We appreciate you very much as our Director of Development, and we're wrapping up 2020 very strong, still in the midst of our race to 500 as well. Lots of prizes up for grabs. So if you have friends, neighbors, colleagues, whatever the case may be, have them join, be a part of the race to 500, and that person and or you could have an opportunity to win some prizes. So just visit our website. There's everything you ever want to know about us there, mountpleasantchamber.org, mountpleasantchamber.org. So without further ado, thank you, Rebecca. I will bring on the Mayor, Mr. Will Haynie, and also from the town of Mount Pleasant, Lauren Sims. Good afternoon, you two. Good to see you.
Shane, how you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. It's always good to see your smiling face, Mr. Mayor, and you as well, Lauren. You look like you're at the office there. You working from the office today?
I am. Yep, here at the office today. I feel happy to be back in my little space here. I feel at home, so it's good.
Excellent. Well, as always, we thank you very much both for your time Monday with the Mayor. This is an opportunity for our members and business owners and professionals at large to hear it from the horse's mouth, talk from the Mayor and also from Lauren, and see how things are going over at the town. And Mr. Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with the council meeting on Tuesday. Of course, that was the second reading of the mask ordinance.
First reading.
First reading, excuse me, thank you. First reading of the mask ordinance, and an interesting meeting to say the least, but you've got the final reading tomorrow, and just wanted to kind of get your thoughts and walk us through that whole process from beginning to end.
Wow, how long have we got? All right. So when part of the state coordinated approach to lowering our numbers after the huge spike that occurred, that was predicted after Memorial Day. So we're going back May and June. Everything reopened in June, and we got this huge spike. And when I say everything reopened, I mean the town stuff, all that happened well before that, but the state started reopening things, and restaurants were doing well and hotels were doing well. And then you talk to anybody in those businesses, and all of a sudden things started heading south because the numbers started coming out and it looked bad. So in late June, municipalities started passing mask ordinances. And at the time that we passed ours, as an emergency ordinance, which it's a blessing and a curse. An emergency ordinance, you can call the meeting, have first and final reading, and pass it, and it's effective that day. You can amend it that day. So there's a flexibility there, and these are designed more for things like tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, those type things. I don't know that when all these rules were set up, anybody even thought about something like a viral epidemic, all right? So as our statewide strategy or whatever there is of it began to emerge, when we took ours up at the end of June, the cities of Charleston, Columbia, and Greenville had mask ordinances. There might have been somebody else, and I can't remember, but Greenville, Columbia, Charleston had them. We brought it up, and at that time, we passed ours by the required 2/3 majority of council. So there's easier things about an emergency ordinance, but there's a harder threshold. It takes 6 votes. So by law, those emergency ordinances can only last for exactly 61 days. So ours expired at the end of August. So we had a council meeting coming up that next Tuesday anyway. And so we put it on the agenda. And one reason, and I got some notes here, pardon me for looking at them, but since it had passed as an emergency ordinance and was handled as an emergency ordinance the first time, I placed it on that council agenda, not last week's, but the week before that for a special meeting as an emergency ordinance to be consistent, to be transparent. You got an emergency ordinance, it expires, you bring it back as an emergency ordinance. It failed by 1 vote. It got a majority of council, 5-4. But as an emergency ordinance, which could have been proposed, amended, passed, and gone into effect right at that moment, it needs 6 votes, and that's okay. So the next day after that failed, the outpouring and the outcry from the healthcare community was intense. Let me just tell you, it was intense. I heard from Roper St. Francis basically before I had had breakfast the next morning. I checked with East Cooper Medical Center, and they were the same way. They asked what was going on. So I talked with the 5 council members who had supported it, knowing that if we brought it back as an ordinary ordinance, a regular ordinance, but put a limited time on there to be consistent, but it didn't have to. We just chose to do that we would have to have a first reading, and then we'd have a second reading. So we made it exactly what had passed before, with one difference in that there was general consensus, even of those who did not support the ordinance, to exempt children from 12 and under, let it be at the discretion of the parent. Because if you've raised kids anyway, you know, if you put it on there and your 10-year-old's taking it off, you're not getting much done anyway. It's kind of a discretionary thing anyway. So we just made it that. And so that passed first reading last Tuesday night. And what I will just say was probably the worst public meeting, I think, at least in my experience with Mount Pleasant, maybe the history of Mount Pleasant. Not that there were differences of opinion, not that public comment isn't welcome, but the names and the accusations and just the tenor of it was what I think is unacceptable in polite public circumstances, in a polite public environment. So we have to have second reading. We're doing that tomorrow at 2:30. Why? Because that's the first day under the law. You have to wait 6 days. And our lawyer said that we could do it on Tuesday. So we're doing it for Tuesday afternoon. And, you know, this is politics. This is government. I think the same 5 votes are still there. I have been checking with the healthcare community, and they plan to be there as well to speak for it. And I assume that the folks that were, you know, quite over the top in some of the things we were called who support it will probably be there as well. Hate that we have to go through all that, but that's what you do to pass an ordinance, and it'll be an ordinance of council. So that's what we're doing.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your leadership. As I said, I watched all of that meeting and share in your sentiments. It was an interesting meeting, to say the least, but thank you for walking us through exactly how, going back to May, because I think there is some miscommunication and some misinformation when you look at social media and sometimes in the media itself about why that vote didn't go a certain way, and you just spelled it out for us. So we really appreciate taking us all the way back to May and walking us through to where we are. That final reading will be tomorrow. So thank you for that. Moving along, wanted to chat a little bit about the business license fees. Lauren, I wanted to bring you in on this as well. I know we still have probably another 20 to 30 days before you get all the data back, but we'll probably see by then, I would guess, the implications from COVID in regards to business license fees. Is that right?
That's correct. So if you'll remember kind of in the height of I guess the early COVID period, one of the things that Mayor and Council did to support businesses was to push back the renewal date for business licenses. It's normally earlier in the year. They pushed it back a quarter, understanding that businesses were under unprecedented stress, particularly financial stress. And so they delayed it for a quarter. And so all business license renewals were due back to the town of as of August 31st. It is a tremendous amount of work for all 7,000 some odd businesses that we have in town. We have to, staff has to go through and double check and make sure it's filled out correctly, and supporting documentation wasn't left out, all that sort of stuff. So that's what they're going through right now. So I would expect within the next month, we will have some data on business license renewals. I can tell you that we did double check the numbers and compare them against the past 3 years. Up to the end of the fiscal year, which would have ended June 30th. And at that point in time, we were actually tracking right in line, if not just a little bit above prior years. Certainly kind of anecdotally, we have seen some closures in the town, but in the same breath, we've got 4 ribbon cuttings that are trying to be scheduled right now, and another handful that's coming right behind them. So I have been pleasantly surprised by the number of businesses that are opening during this time frame in Mount Pleasant as well. So I think that's great news, and certainly want to do everything that we can to support them and to ensure that they have a successful long-term future here in the town of Mount Pleasant.
Well, and I was honored enough to accept the mayor's proclamation at the council meeting last Tuesday about Business Appreciation Month here in September. And Mr. Mayor, I wanted to get your thoughts. You're out and about in town a good bit. Obviously, you're connecting with a number of folks, and you're getting feedback and hearing from business owners and professionals. What are some of the things that you're hearing in regards to how things have been going over the past 30 to 60 days as we are trying, I think, to turn the corner somewhat with most of us wearing masks now and businesses doing the things they're supposed to do to make sure that their employees and their consumers are safe? What are you hearing, Mr. Mayor?
Sure. And Lauren, thank you for that. That was great. And Shane, first of all, I want to say, the things that make the paper are the votes on mask and other things that we did back coming into COVID. There's the coming in part and there's the coming out part. And now there's the, adjust to what's happening part. What I want to tell everybody in the chamber is that by far the amount of hours that I have worked, whatever I'm good for, has been on business and getting businesses open and helping businesses through the One Region Committee, through this, through talking to people and everything like that. So if you look over my time and my effort, that's what I've been putting it towards. So I hope that just the headlines don't make it look skewed. That's just the sensational part, because when we have our One Region Committee meetings and we get all the local economic data on sales receipts, even right down to the cell phone mobility on whether people are moving and going out and about and all of those things, right down to every economic indicator. That's where a lot more of my time has been than on anything else. And it's been my privilege to do that because COVID, we have got to earn a living. We have got to work. We have got to be in business. And just to kind of tie the two together, we have got to do what we can do to keep our numbers down so that the schools stay open. And I say that as the husband of a school teacher. She is in a classroom, every day. And it has been the most unusual and difficult school year ever. And I bring that up because there's probably somebody watching today who is having a hard time adjusting, maybe being at home with a child who you thought would be in school and they're not. And so that's not only an education issue, that's a workforce issue, an economic issue. I'm hearing that that the limited numbers in restaurants are hurting restaurants, and that's hard and that's difficult. We've seen the closures. We've been over that how many times in here. We don't like that at all. I'm hearing from other non-service type businesses that things are pretty much, close to normal, if not normal. I know that the hospitality industry, it went way up, and Lauren, you may have some newer numbers than I have, and then it came down a little bit. And we don't want to focus too much on any one sector of our economy because we fortunately have a very multifaceted economy. But I think we all know that is one that has been really up and down because of this. One of the things that I am hearing, and I'm seeing, and if you look at the surveys that have gone out, is that the people who come from out of the region into the region are a little hesitant right now. They're not traveling as much. They're not booking as many nights. They're not eating out as much, and whatever other business services we have. And I know we're not just concentrating on restaurants and hotels. So if you're listening, don't tune out, but everything else that affects as well. So that's what I'm hearing out there now. I'll be getting some more numbers this week from our one region effort to see what the regional economy looks like. Other than that, you know, I know there were some furloughs, at Boeing, that type thing. I have not heard the latest on the automobile manufacturing for Mercedes and Volvo. But we have people in Mount Pleasant that work in all of those industries.
Lauren, I'm curious of your take. Are you hearing anything from business owners and professionals? Anything you can add to what the mayor had just said?
Yeah, I think the mayor hit it spot on. You know, folks are obviously ready for this sustained response to be over with and kind of get back to business as usual. But in the same breath, everybody knows that there was a thought that perhaps the numbers would increase after Labor Day, after the school starts. So I think right now we're still in that waiting period to wait and see what the numbers do. But, you know, the governor is certainly making some moves to try and reopen things, you know, things like issuing the guidelines for visitation at nursing homes and things of that nature. The second round of funding that he has released for various industries as they try to open up more in-person spots. So I think we're starting to see kind of statewide a slower incremental approach towards getting back to day-to-day stuff. But it is all a cautious progression, if I can say that, just because we are still so close to that, I guess that the deadline, deadline's not the right word, but, you know, kind of that target date where we thought maybe numbers might increase. And so perhaps maybe this week it's still a little premature to make any estimates about it, but hopefully as the numbers continue to roll in, we'll continue to see good things and be able to move towards additional reopenings and additional relaxation of some of these guidelines.
Well, we all have our part to do, of course. So as long as we do our part and are good neighbors, hopefully we can get through this in a timely fashion. I feel like our talk today has been, I wouldn't say bad news, but we've been focusing on you know, some challenges. And we do have some bad news, obviously, to express. Most folks did see this, but we lost a treasure in Mount Pleasant last week. Mr. Wayne Magwood unfortunately passed away last week in just a horrible accident. And Mr. Mayor, I know you know Wayne very well, and I've had the opportunity to meet him on multiple occasions. Just a beautiful gentleman, and he will sorely be missed. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you. And many people, including the famous Mike Rowe, you know, the television host, have said some wonderful things about Wayne. What he meant to this town and to the viability of our shrimping fleet cannot be overstated. You know, it's been said many times that when people first come to Mount Pleasant, they come as a tourist, or maybe they first move here. One of the first things they do is go down to Shim Creek and get a picture. And they don't get a picture just because of kayaks or flat boats or whatever. They get a picture because of that shrimping fleet. And that's a wonderful thing. And Wayne was really the living embodiment of that. The Magwood family, my parents are in town this weekend, and my dad was reminding me that his dad, my grandfather, who I'm named for, had a friendship with one of the Magwoods back in the 1930s and 40s and used to go down and buy shrimp from them. So, you know, they're an institution, and there's so many words to use. I feel like I'm just a cliche machine. But personally, I want to mention that Wayne was always so nice and so pleasant and so helpful. Anything we needed, like when the crab bank issue came up a couple of years ago and is still ongoing, the possible negative effects on our shrimping fleet and stuff, there was nothing he would not do to help Mount Pleasant or help our shrimping fleet. And don't forget, he was also instrumental in starting the blessing of the fleet and his daughter Tressie. I mean, a lot of people run it, but Tressie is sort of the heart and soul of that. And how sadly ironic that he passes away in the only year that we've not been able to have the blessing of the fleet. So there's a move afoot by citizens to maybe name something after him, and also maybe get a like a sculpture of a shrimper and a net somewhere down on the boardwalk park. And I think that's a great idea. There's probably no government money in this time to do that, so it would be a multifaceted approach. But I'm all behind that, and we're going to take steps to see what we can do about that. So sad loss for our community, but what a memory and a legacy to live on.
Absolutely, and our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with the Magwood family at this time. Well, it's about 20 minutes. Mr. Mayor, any parting thoughts before we let you go today? Again, thank you very much for your time, and Lauren, thank you for your time as well.
Sure. One of the things I want to say is that you know, we started this because of the COVID crisis and just the unprecedented things that are happening. The role of government in all of this, in business, in whether or not we had stay-at-home orders and all that, the role of government in helping keep the virus down so that your business doesn't close of your own accord. And I just want to thank the healthcare professionals, the healthcare infrastructure of this town, who has guided us in this right up to, you know, tomorrow, even the final reading of our mask ordinance. People may not know it, but if you add the capital investment of Roper St. Francis and East Cooper Medical Center, it is the largest private investment in the town of Mount Pleasant, the largest employer, the largest payroll, and the largest private economic impact in the town. And that's just as a business. That's just the number side. The healthcare side of that, if any one of you were in an accident today, where are you going to be taken for life-saving care? To the medical university, to East Cooper Medical Center, or to Roper St. Francis? If you're on this side of town, that's where you're going to be taken. And those are the institutions that have been guiding us in this. Those are the institutions that have been coming out asking us to pass a mask ordinance to help them protect our health and safety. And I appreciate that. And they are part of what this group is part of, and that is the people who invest in our town, who make an economic impact in our town, and who are there as a resource for us to make wise decisions. And I thank all of you, you know, for playing that role and being that resource to us when we need it, when it's other things as well.
Well, as the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Mayor, it's an honor to help the town any way that we can. As I've always said to you and to Lauren, anything that we can do to help the town get messaging out, we are here for you. So the fact that you're doing this for us to talk to our members and business professionals at large is a great value for our members. We've had a lot of great feedback on Mondays with the Mayor. Matter of fact, we may be up for some sort of an award somewhere, sometime, possibly. I mean, it's an award-winning program. We have no technical issues. Everything goes smoothly every week. So no, but it has been a lot of fun and getting out some great information. So again, I just I simply thank you for your time. And most importantly, Mr. Mayor, you know, I consider you a friend, but I thank you very much for your leadership. You know, the way you handled yourself on Tuesday night was, it was really something to see, I'll tell you that. So I appreciate your leadership on that, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who's watching and all that you mean to our town. And I've said from the start, there's only one way to do this, and that's together, and we'll keep doing it together. Absolutely. Lauren, good to see you as well.
Nice to see you, and we hope that some folks will stop by our booth during Expo, starting here in just a little bit. We very proud to be a part of it, and looking forward to chatting with you folks through the virtual booth and the entire virtual experience. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, as I mentioned, 10 days of Expo start a week from today, next Monday, the 21st through the 30th, 10 days of Expo. And a thanks to the town for their support, and also a thanks to Crew Subaru, who is our presenting sponsor this year. Also thanks to News Radio 94.3 WSC, and also On Purpose Adventures. Ben Toy has been doing a great job putting the whole thing together, along with Michael Cochran and the Expo Committee. So with all that said, as I like to say, be safe, stay healthy, and keep moving forward. We'll see you next week.
See you.
Bye.